Hey, if you're listening to this, then your teacher has assigned you to create and set up your Noodle Tools account. So I want to give you a little bit of background about all the uses of Noodle Tools. Go ahead and log on to noodletools.com and click Current Users Sign In. At any point in this video, if you need more time, feel free to hit the pause button. Now, because you set up an account already, you can log in using the personal ID and password of your choice. If you forget your password, go ahead and click on I forgot my password. Once you've logged on, use your dashboard to keep organized. You can put in the name of your research question or book that you will be reporting on. You can collaborate with other students. You can add or remove others, and it will show you how. Some of the things that you can do with Noodle Tools are located here in the Components box. You can create your Works Cited page. You can do note cards. Through clicking note cards, you can also access the outline menu, and you can export your paper to Google Docs and begin writing. You can also create your own to-do list of items and check them off as completed. If your teacher decides to use it, they can leave you comments. Go ahead and click on Works Cited under the Components menu. Let's do a practice citation. If you already have your source, go ahead and pull a choice from the drop-down menu. Now in that drop-down menu, you may choose journal, magazine, newsletter, newspaper, but many of you are getting your articles from online databases. So even if it's a journal in an online database, please choose Online Database. Website and many other options are available as you scroll down. Do you think that the journal was an original, or do you think it was reprinted in a book or a magazine? And click Next. Most have been retrieved from online databases like JSTOR or ProQuest, and so for most of you, you can click Next. You're citing an article from a database. Feel free to look over the other options if you don't think this is true. This is where you go through and you fill in your information about your book or online database. If you don't know what they're asking for, there are links next to each of the entries, and they will give you some suggestions. The author's name or an organization goes in the beginning. Make sure you capitalize the first letter of each name. You can copy and paste the name of an article if using an online database, or type it in and just double check. Some fields are required. If you do not complete them and you click Submit, it will not allow you to submit that citation. If the bell rings before you have a chance to finish submitting, just know that the citation will delete. So make sure you get in at least the required fields and come back and finish it later. This is where you will add any notes, for example, what you thought this book or resource had to offer. Please don't forget to check spelling and preview your annotation and your citation. Just because it gives you a suggestion doesn't mean that you have it wrong. Please make sure that you choose the right one or ignore, because sometimes you have it correct. Click Check for Errors. If you have any pink lines that show up, that means that something needs to be edited. For example, review should be capitalized. And then your citation will appear. You can always open and edit it again. If you need to know how to do parenthetical citations, it will give you the information that you need. If you need to balance out your sources, you can click Analysis on the top of the screen, and it will break down the statistics of the resources you chose. How many were print versus online? How many were periodicals, non-periodicals, and audiovisuals? It'll also break down currency. So, is yours a current, new, or older resource? Please remember to do proper formatting when completing your works cited page. You can export and print to Word. Make sure that it is titled Works Cited, because you're going to have more than one resource. It is not underlined. Everything is double spaced. There are hanging indents, which means that the beginning of your phrase is all the way to the left, and the rest is indented in. You also need to make sure that when you have all of your resources, that you place them in alphabetical order. How confident are you in using Noodle Tools MLA citations? Are you not sure, somewhat sure, or you have no problem with using the site? The next step is to choose note cards. That option is in the top of the screen. In order to add a new note card, you click New Note Card. You need to include a title. The title is whatever you want to call the note card, not the title of the whole project. So you may need to be a little more specific. You can include a direct quotation. Let's say I found good information in JSTOR that I'd like to copy and paste. As long as it's not a PDF, I would be able to copy and paste the content back into Noodle Tools. Now that I've copied and pasted it, I know that if I needed a good quote, I could come back here and get it. What is my source from? Well, if I already have my bibliography done, I can just click on the appropriate source. Otherwise, if I haven't done my bibliography yet, I can just type in where I got it from and be as detailed as possible. Now, we can't quote other people's work for the whole paper, so I'm going to read my quote and paraphrase it. I can also add ideas. So if this gives me a good brainstorming, then I can go ahead and start typing some other ideas. So I could type feelings, reactions. How does this connect with the other things I've read about the topic? When ready, click Save. And now a new note card has appeared. When the new note card appears, it's on the left side. I have a pile of note cards here. If I click on the note cards, it's going to show me what's in the pile. Let's say I want to add the note card to the pile. I can just click and drag it over. I can also view details which lets me look back at the note cards. Okay, this one shows me first note card is all of this information, the second note card is this information, and the third note card in the pile is this information. If I want it in a different pile, I can just click and drag it. Let's say I did not know my source. If I click Link to Source, let's say that I didn't know my source. When I made the note card, I can always click on the note card and link it to a source. When the new note card appears, it's on the left side. I have a pile of note cards here. If I click on the note cards, it's going to show me what's in the pile. Let's say I want to add the note card to the pile. I can just click and drag it over. I can also view details, which lets me look back at the note cards. Okay, this one shows me first note card is all of this information, the second note card is this information, and the third note card in the pile is this information. If I want it in a different pile, I can just click and drag it. Let's say I did not know my source. If I click Link to Source, let's say that I didn't know my source. When I made the note card, I can always click on the note card and link it to a source. Once the new note card appears on the left side, you can drag the notes over and create piles. Create piles with topics in mind that you could group together. For example, if your project is on an author, perhaps linking all of the sources that have bibliographical information into one pile, and you could link together sources that discuss the book. You have a bird's eye view here, which shows you the exact picture of your note cards. This is helpful because sometimes your note cards are off the screen. You can add reminders and color tags if you want to color code the cards as well. The best part is that you can click and drag items to pull over into the outline. You may first want to create some sort of organization, like whatever my main topic is. Part A could be my thesis. I could have some sort of example, and go on from there. Take a look. The buttons, I think, speak for themselves. If I want to add a tab and just type in, I can click to add a tab. If I decide that I'd like it to be a letter C instead of a number 2, I click over. Oh, but I would like it to really be a number 2. Maybe that should be its own paragraph. And you can click back. Let's say you think that it should be up higher. Maybe this should be the very first thing you talk about. You can use the up or down arrows to change it. If you decide not to talk about a topic, you can delete it. To get your content in, you can take your note card and drag directly in, and it will appear here. You'll also notice that a check mark now appears because this note card is included on the outline, whereas the other note card here is not. Again, this one is. So that way I can say, oh, I still need to include this note card and pull it over. Now to print. If I click print, I can choose which option. Your teacher may have a particular requirement, or you may want to print for yourself. Decide if you want to print the outline with or without the note cards. You can choose what part of the note card is printed. If you would like everything, click Submit, and all of your information appears, including source citations. Go to File, Print, choose the Media Center printer, non-color. In order to print on both sides, click Preferences, Finishing, and Print on both sides, and OK, and you'd print. If you'd like to export your paper to Google Docs, on the top you can click Paper. You would log into your Gmail account where you could access your document. If you don't have Gmail, you may consider creating an account. Please feel free to write down your questions. You can either send them to me in an email located either on Edline, or you can email me by looking at the Watkins Mill website, or when you see me in person next, feel free to ask. Please take the time now to create a note card and to practice adding it onto your outline. I'd like to see at least 2 Roman numerals, each with 2 letters. Feel free to pretend and add on, but try to make it as close as possible to something you may be able to use.